Greetings, comrades, and welcome to the Rad Gaming Podcast. I'm Pescador.
And I'm Jemshi. And in this episode of the podcast, we interview BadNewsBaron, a Twitch partner who's been in the game for over 5 years. We talk about his strategies of choosing what game to play to optimize views, his method of turning his committed game audience into fans of variety streaming, and also his advice for new streamers and what goals they should make to prevent burnout and disappointment.
This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Cento Fiore. Cento Fiore is a lifestyle fashion brand that sees beauty in cultural heritage and always strives to offer timeless and elegant style. Visit cento-fiore.com to join the family. That's CENTO-FIORI.com. Also, Rad Gaming Podcast is part of Big Heads Media. Now, on to the podcast. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We truly appreciate having you on.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, so for the first question I want to ask you is I did see one of your tweets, and I saw that you're playing the new Harry Potter Wizards Unite game.
Yes.
How do you like it so far? Because I just started playing.
Oh, man. So I don't know if you were like into Pokemon Go at all. Like half the world was, then they all dropped off the planet. I still play. I'm still one of the faithful. It's a much more advanced game. Like there's a whole like leveling up system with like skill trees that branch off and do different things. There's different abilities that you can sort of spec into. There's different classes. So it's a lot more RPG like than Pokemon Go was. And it's got its launch issues, but other than that, it's a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it.
I don't know. I can't tell the difference between Pokemon Go and the new Harry Potter game because I never played Pokemon. Jemshi has though, but the skill tree is pretty. Noticed that this is spell casting in general is pretty fun. I mess up all the time. I'm not very good at drawing. I can't even sign my signature when they ask to if I go the Lowe's and pay for something. So, I mean, but the game is pretty fun. I can't believe that it's actually like something solid now. Like I've been wanting a Harry Potter game kind of like that for the longest time. And now the Harry Potter is so far in the past. They're like, oh, let's pull up this game and why not try it?
Oh yeah. Well, it's got all the Fantastic Beasts tie-ins too, and they'll find ways to keep that going. It's too much of a cash cow not to. I feel your pain. It's like draw a triangle with a swish, and I try, and it's like, no, that's a circle. You mess up, and then everything.
They're like fair. I'm like, what? That's not fair. That's the best I can do. Do they have a best I can do category? Because I love them.
That's how negative it gets too. Is it doesn't get any worse than fair. It's like you do a terrible job, you can just do a squiggle, and it's like fair.
Yeah, I'm like. Wait. Hold on a second. That took all my effort. Let me try this again. Get fair again? Yeah, whatever.
Just okay.
But do you find yourself a big Harry Potter fan?
I enjoyed the series. My fiance is a massive Harry Potter nerd, like the biggest in the world, and she already knows all the spells by heart and the movements and stuff like that. And
so it's fair to assume that she's playing the game, right?
Oh yeah. So she's gotten me a lot more into that subculture, whatever you might call that fandom.
Have you ever checked out any of the Harry Potter? They have what was that? Like they have some kind of like, not a Harry Potter world, I guess, but they have like certain like little events that they have for Harry Potter conventions and things. That have you been to any of those?
Sure, yeah. So I took her for Christmas one year to that Harry Potter world, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter over in. I went to the one in Florida at Universal there, and they had their yearly Harry Potter event thing there, and they had actors come out, like lesser actors, like sort of side characters come out. And they had like a whole props exhibit, and it was jam packed. So it's interesting seeing thousands of people in Harry Potter cosplay all at once. Definitely makes you wonder where you are.
Did you get a wand? I saw in one of the pictures.
I got a wand.
You had the whole attire too.
I don't have the whole attire. I just got the wand because in the park it's got like a little infrared thing on the end, and you can like cast spells in different places, and they have IR readers, and if you do the spell right, it'll cause things to happen in the real world, like it'll start raining in a certain area, or these little mechanical things will just sort of switch all around or reveal stuff.
You might have convinced me to try to go to one of these because that's
pretty
actually
cool.
Really cool.
It makes Harry Potter game. That's what it sounds like to me. Because they got like VR, like you can do all kinds of stuff. That's like a Wii game almost too.
Yeah, that'd be good. I would like a VR There is a VR wizarding game that's not related to Harry Potter, and you actually do use gestures to try to cast spells and stuff. It's a lot like Doctor Strange, because you're like signing things and then like big shields come up, and there's some fun stuff out there.
Have you got it really into the Avengers? Because you pull up Doctor Strange kind of referenced it there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, all the Marvel, everything, all the MCU stuff. I was never really big into the comics. I was always sort of peripherally aware of the comics, but the MCU is dear to me. I like it.
So you're going to go see the new Spider-Man movie? Because honestly, I am Avengered out. Like, I can't do any more superhero movies for like a little bit of time. I just need a break.
That's fair. There's been 24 movies now? I don't know how many is actually in the main lineup, but yeah, they just keep them pumping.
Sounds very
just
close.
like Star Wars. They just keep rolling them out.
Obviously, Star Wars is going to be next in line for the like Pokemon Go. They're going to have Harry Potter, Wizards Unite, and then they're going to have probably Star Wars somewhere in there too. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, maybe. I'd be excited for that.
I can't even imagine what they would do with that, because if they made you like swing your phone around like a lightsaber, I'm sure that's going to look super awkward out in public.
Yeah, but it would. But also, it's an excuse to hold your phone and make lightsaber noises at each other.
So you're not just lightsaber noises.
Normally, you can be like, no, I'm actually playing a game this time.
Yeah, absolutely. So how about you tell us a little bit about your background and before you started streaming, actually?
Sure. So before I was a streamer, I guess the most immediate career that I had was in marketing. I was a brand manager at a digital marketing agency, and I was a copywriter around the same time. So that's sort of my background. I went to school for like literature and writing creative things, and ended up going into marketing for money. And it's transitioned from that. It's been about 3 years in that field, 3-4 years, directly into streaming.
And then you started streaming how? Like, what brought you onto Twitch?
Bike Man brought me onto Twitch. I started watching his YouTube videos for DayZ back in the day, and I was like, "This is amazing! This is so much fun! What a great platform!" And like because his videos had his Twitch link at the bottom, and that led me to Twitch. And I started looking around, going, "Oh, okay, I could do this, I think." And I used that for some video content that I was going to make, but I was too lazy to sit down and edit. I just did it live on Twitch, and a couple of people showed up, and that invigorated me.
Did you start playing DayZ as well, or is it a different game you started out on?
I did not. I started out with a game. So I've been streaming for just about 5 years, and I started streaming with a game that has not been released, Star Citizen, which still probably has another 2 or 3 years left in the development cycle. So yeah, I'm an alpha streamer. I'm like an early access sort of thing.
The OG, huh?
Yeah, that's what I started with. That's what I got partnered with. And it's still like the bulk of my audience. I do more variety stuff now, but the bulk of my audience is still in that game.
I'm actually surprised that they still have a really good community, just because a game has been in development forever.
Oh yeah. No, it's
like all the mismanagement stuff kind of coming up and people being brought to light, but I think it's still going pretty good.
It's going great. They've had their share of hiccups for sure. It's not been a smooth process, but it's neat. I think for all the people who get sort of frustrated that it's taking so long, the new people who are newer, who are coming in and getting really, really excited, is just vastly outpacing it. So there's always fresh people there who are excited about what's going on. And some of it's to be expected. The whole game scope is completely different than where it was at the Kickstarter. They've raised untold millions at this point. I don't even remember the correct number now.
Right.
But it's massive. And so they've gone from like 13 people working in a little office to 500 something employees at 4 different studios around the world. So they've had all the startup company trouble to go along with all the tech problems
the game
too.
Pretty much like outgrew the company way too fast. Like I'm sure they were just kind of like, we'll put it, Kickstarter. We'll kind of start off and
what scope? We don't know what scope is. Let's just do all the things. It's about 5 games in one, and it's taking that long.
Right. I mean, at least it's like a playable game too. Like it's not like super buggy or anything. Like it's actually enjoyable to play. So it's not like you're missing out or anything like that if you were to like play the game too early,
Right.
Like you're like, oh, well, a lot of things are here to play, like it's just the company.
There's enough to tool around and have some fun. You sort of got to make your own fun in the game because there's not really a whole lot of completed gameplay loops, like basic things like trading, bounty hunting. There's very limited mechanics that are in right now. So it's more like, hey, here's a vending machine that floats in zero gravity. What can I do with a floating vending machine? Can I drop it from orbit? Sure. And just do weird stuff with each other. Let's have jousting fights with wings on ships. That's sort of, we get bored and we do lots of things. There's lots of time
fights
to fill.
with wings.
Yeah. Well, there's one that it's like a Star Wars B-wing, right? So it starts out kind of like this. And then when you turn on flight mode, the wings swivel out like that. And so we just toggle flight mode forward and back like that. And we have little slap fights with the wings. And whoever's wing breaks off the first, they lose.
Guys get very creative with the game. I love it.
That reminds me of like that game you play in school where you get like the pencil and you try to like smack the other person's pencil until there's broke or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never played that game. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you probably had some nice pencils then because you lost a lot of pencils playing that game.
I wasn't a bad kid in school. I'm not going to lie. I was a pretty good kid.
I just was a little bored.
Actually, I lied. I was pretty bad. Now that I'm thinking about it, I remember we lost recess because of me. I don't remember what I did, but we lost recess.
Lost recess? How do you lose recess?
We got the privilege. Like, we had to sit on the wall for recess instead of play. I don't remember what I did. I started something, like almost like a little riot, but I don't remember what. And I got to think about it, but yeah, I was pretty bad.
Like, hey, we're all going to get pizza, and then like all the kids are like, oh, I can't wait for recess. We're going to get free pizza. And then you like get there and there's no pizza, and the kids are just angry. That's how you.
I'm just imagining these elementary school riots and how violent they could become.
Yeah, little kids kicking teachers in the shins, running around
on fire.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Basic riot things. But what kind of kid were you in school?
Me, I was the weird kid who didn't really talk to anybody and was always reading books. That was me. I was an interesting kid.
No, not at all. What books did you read?
Sci-fi. Lots and lots of sci-fi. Not so much fantasy, but the Dune series by Frank Herbert. That was always my favorite books. The Ender's Game, all that.
Yeah,
some of the Star Wars books I liked.
That series was interesting. It's just funny whenever you like discover a series and you're just kind of like sometimes like when you're younger, like you don't like hear about like media or anybody talking about the book, and you're just kind of like, oh, this book looks cool, let me just read it, And that's how I got into Ender's Game, and it was just, I think that was amazing to me, at least, because I find it really rare with books nowadays, for me at least, because it's like it's hard to pick up a book and like it when I read it, because I'm willing to give up a book like halfway through if I don't like it.
Yeah, but, I've been reading the Expanse series right now, and it is good.
Man, I don't know why. I just can't get into reading. I try. Like, I've read a few books, like, all the way through. Not very many. I'm not gonna lie. But I've done like World War Z. I actually read that book from front to back, and it was actually really interesting. I liked the book a lot better than the movie. But there's just a very few things that I really enjoy other than playing video games. I'm not gonna lie. But
yeah. Oh, that's fine. Well, they have some shows that may help you. There's one called Reading Rainbow. There's always a great one.
That's an old one.
There was The Adventures of Wishbone, who was a dog.
Yep.
Who went into books. I don't know why. Just did.
I watched all of that. I remember I was like the kid who would like tell my mom like, oh, good night or whatever, and like go in my room and like turn my light on and keep reading. That was me. Like, I remember thinking like I was like a sneaky kid where I was like, oh man, I'm like really bad, like breaking the rules, reading past bedtime. And like nowadays I'm like, she's probably been like, if of all the things, I'm okay with that. Like, he's not sneaking out of the house or anything.
How my teachers would punish me in elementary school is because I would never be paying attention. I'd just be reading my books, so they take my books away. I was like, this is an institution of learning. I should be allowed to read.
You have to get like sneakier, I guess. Like, I guess you could like, I don't know, get like a smartwatch, or I guess like nowadays you probably get a smartwatch and have like your book on your phone and just like read it.
I'm sorry, Jim. I didn't know that smartwatches back in the old days.
Just on here, just reading your book.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, what a great passage.
Someone's like, "What are you looking at?" You're like, "Oh, the time." Just...
Pride and Prejudice. Yes, it's a great novel.
Can you imagine scrolling through that on your watch screen? I know one of my friends had the Pebble. That was like kind of right before smartwatches kind of took off.
Sure.
And he would write like he like would put notes or whatever. So like if you take tests, he kind of be like, oh, just look at the time real quick and come back to the am I on time? And I was like, I remember being like, oh, I just wanted a Pebble Watch, but then it's like he had to take the time to like type all of that out inside of his watch or something.
Right.
Like I don't know how he did it, but I was like, by that time you probably learn it. Like if you wrote all that down like meticulously.
You know, the lengths that you'll go to avoid having to learn something is really astounding. It's just people have gone to such incredible creative lengths to create systems to avoid doing the thing that they're supposed to do. But I think that's where some of the best inventions come from.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of the great software is somebody who didn't want to do their job. How can I automate this?
Yeah, that's pretty much like all software nowadays, I think. Like every job that comes out, people are like, how can we automate this? I don't want to talk to anybody when I buy my groceries. Self-checkout. Like, you know, I don't want to interact with anybody when I go order McDonald's. You know, okay, we'll have like a little menu. Have you seen it where they have like the big like TV touchscreens where you can like come in and like just touch it? And then they'll just, you know, yell out the number and you can just pick up your food and walk away. It's just like, do I need to interact with anybody anymore? Like, I could just sit.
That was always like so key to the McDonald's experience too, was to talk to someone who really doesn't want to be alive and just have them like just make the whole thing miserable. That's so key to the experience, and I miss it.
Someone screams, like basically screaming with their body posture, I hate my job, I hate my life kind of thing.
Yep.
Gives you your like your heartache burger, and then you know you go off and do your thing.
Make heart attack.
Yeah.
But I also love that like they had like the memes with like the ice cream machine or the McFlurry. Like now you can't even have the person tell you, just have like the buttons disabled and you're like, oh darn, you know. Or you order it and then they just like tell you nope. I don't know how that works, I guess. I've never tried to order McFlurry with. I've actually never been to McDonald's where they had a broken McFlurry machine. So I must have just like the magic like aura around me when I walk in. It's just like they're like, oh my god, it's working, like what happened? And I'll be like, can I have a McFlurry? And they're like, oh great. Sure. Well, like
all gonna be robots one day. It's gonna be like a robot server and robot fry cooks in the back, and there's gonna be nobody to spit in your food. And
I bet there's just like even without robots, it's just gonna be like a little screen, and they're gonna have like the computer generated person just talking to you. I feel like that's probably where that seems to be coming out more. I think a robot would be.
I would like that.
Or they have
like just go into McDonald's and have.
That's what it's got to be.
Morgan Freeman. It could be anybody.
Oh man, can you imagine Morgan Freeman giving you your food?
That would be fantastic.
Him just narrating.
Would you like fries? Yeah. Would
you like this?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. I'd be like, dude, you Morgan Freeman? Like, who is this? Who am I talking to right now?
He's like, do you want fries or not? That's what he's gonna say back. He's like, hurry up.
Give me the attitude, Morgan Freeman. Do not. Don't test me today. But anyway, how about you give us a little rundown of your streaming career? What big obstacle did you hit towards the beginning of your career?
Oh man, So I would say it was after I got partnered and went full time. It was a really fast turnaround for me for starting to stream, and partnership is about 3 months on that, and about the same amount of time before I went full time. The channel was big enough at that point that the company that I was working for ended up laying off like half the marketing department, and I was one of the unlucky few. But at that point, I was making enough that I could sort of try to make a go at it while I was filling out applications. So I was like, okay, let's do this for a little bit. It's way earlier than I ever planned, but let's see how long I can go on like this. And at that point, I had never experienced any sort of downturn in viewership or growth. I didn't know what that could look like at all. So I went on for another few months of things being great and fantastic and good growth, and things are going okay career-wise. And then I hit my first sort of summer slump, and everything just halved almost overnight. It was crazy, and that was absolutely miserable. Learning how to cope with that and going through that was probably the biggest obstacle that I hit early on.
So what did you do about that? Like, it's just a weird thing because most people say they go into streaming and they get no one off the bat and gradually grow their channel. But you basically had success right off the bat, and then you had a slump later on. That's unusual.
Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones. Also, Star Citizen back there, and there wasn't a whole lot of streamers for it, and the community was just as fervent and passionate about it. So I sort of got in at the right time. I think with that, there was just there was a lot of people who wanted to watch that content in that community. So it was never really a whole bunch of people, but the demographic of that audience is people who are older than the Twitch average. They're people in their mid 30s or 40s, something like that, like old space game fans with a little bit more disposable income who watch more during the day. So even with less numbers, my interaction, tips, subscribers, all that would be much higher than average.
So you had like not the quantity, but you had the quality viewers.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess that was
my viewers now are all garbage. They're all garbage people. But back then, it was great.
Yeah, and I'm sure it wasn't intentional at the time either, because like I'm sure you're not sitting there like, all right, what time of day, and like, or did you? Did you actually think about what time of day should I stream?
So most of that stuff, like that sort of peripheral, like really strategically thinking about things, I absolutely did that all the time, just from the marketing stuff. But the time of day, because I always would stream around my work hours, I would stream for like a couple hours in the morning and then like a couple hours in the afternoon. So all my audience was always daytime. So it made sense when I went full time to just say, all right, let's just do the middle of the day again and start in the morning and like do like the 8 to 5 sort of thing. That was a natural transition, and I'm still more or less doing that.
Gotcha. So when you first started, like, I mean, I'm sure like you turned the camera on, but was there anything else you did, like either behind the scenes or anything? Like, did you promote yourself on social media? Like, what did you do that you felt like helped promote yourself, or did you do nothing and it just magically brought in viewers?
I didn't really. I like a couple of my things got picked up on Reddit. So what sort of set my content apart at first was so when I first started streaming, when I first started making a YouTube video for what got me into it was there was a program for Star Citizen and a similar game, Elite Dangerous, called Voice Attack, which is a voice command macro sort of thing. So you say something and the computer will respond with a programmed response and it will execute whatever command you give it. So in those games, you can be like, okay, raise landing gear, and it will say raising landing gear. And it's all text to speech. So I thought, it'd be kind of funny if I just had him talk back to me, because we don't have to have it actually do a command. So I just started scripting entire conversations and programming in conversations and like fighting with my AI companion, Brian. Like in the middle of the stream, like I'd tell him to do something and he'd say no. And I'm like, what do you mean no? He's like, no, I don't feel like it. I don't like you. I was like, well, that's your entire job. Yes, well, I want a different job. I want to be a ballerina. And it would go on and on. Like that, and people liked it. I also did streams as Darth Vader. I would just sort of put a little GIF of Darth Vader down in the corner, like it was a webcam or something like that, and use a voice modifier. So I'd be talking like Darth Vader, and those ended up being really popular on Reddit and YouTube as well.
So you were
so that's
your
that gave me
from Twitch onto YouTube. So I guess what you did, I guess, is that you posted your clips or streams to YouTube.
Right. Yeah. And from there, it was really just a matter of there's not many people here. I'm like second in the directory. A lot of the incoming traffic is going to end up flowing over to me. And then luckily I was able to get up to first in my time slot, the vast majority of the time. And so then it's like 90% of all incoming traffic that's new to a directory goes to that first slot.
Right. And then I
was able to snowball.
Right. And then I guess like you said, a lot of people are coming in playing Star Citizen, and then like we've discussed this on the podcast on the previous episodes, that people, like when they want to see a game, they go on to Twitch and they go and see other people play. Like you go onto YouTube and watch other people play. So it's kind of like, if you are they're gonna be like, oh, I'll watch like the top gamer on Twitch, because to them they're like, well, this is going to be high quality gameplay. This is what I'm going to actually get out of it. I don't know if I'm going to, what I mean? Like, they must be entertaining, so this is what I'll watch to kind of get into the game.
And little do they know, they're going to log into him, and he's doing slap fights with wingtips, from playing. So
as long as they're engaged when they first show up, if you can keep them in that first couple minutes or something like that before they decide to bounce off the page, that's really all you got to do. Usually people come in with questions and you answer the questions, and I think that's a big part of it too. The interaction.
Have you ever got anyone that came in and actually started to troll you?
Oh God, yes, it's Twitch.
Yeah.
All the time, still.
And how do you handle that normally?
So I for a long time, I spent a stupid amount of effort trying to talk to them and like talk them down from the ledge that is trolling and be like, oh, why do you feel that way? Why are you acting like this? Let me try to explain things to you. And now I'm just like, screw you, you're banned. That's
You lost your patience.
lost your patience. Usually, if you can turn it into a broader teaching moment for chat, if they're like trolling about a certain, for starts as there's a lot of people who are like, this game's a scam, and they come in and they start saying that, and I'll press them on it and try to do counterpoints, and then if I can make it funny in the process, then that's better than just an outright ban. But it depends on the day how I'm feeling.
Is there any like specific time or memory that you have of something really funny you said back to a troll that really got everyone in chat guffawing, if you will?
Yeah. So sort of the main antagonist for Star Citizen fans is a guy named Derek who makes his own games that are kind of failed. Really, really terrible. He comes out with all sorts of articles. He's got a whole people on like all the goons on something awful, like a big following of them, or did. They've sort of gotten bored of them by now. But he was always antagonizing people, and he came into my channel a couple times and tried to stir up shit. So the game that he makes, it's like if you took what Star Citizen wanted to be, but it was made by like a 10-year-old who didn't know what they were doing. But it was also made in 1997, but it's now. And it's all broken. April Fool's Day, I played his game, and I played it in the Star Citizen directory and said, "This is the new Star Citizen patch." And oh my god, everybody just loved it in chat. The guy was livid.
Oh, wow.
He came into the game and the server that I was on and kept trying to kill me because he was angry at me. But his game was so broken that he couldn't actually shoot me when it was shooting right at me. It wouldn't register any damage, and I ended up getting wedged below the floor somehow. And he was standing there trying to get to me and kill me. So it was just showcasing how broke his shit was.
So basically, you kind of really pulled one over his eyes because he was actually trying to like stop you from doing that, and he actually proved your point of saying, "Wow, this game is pretty messed up."
Yeah, that was my favorite troll response, I think.
That is, I've never heard of like someone actually doing something like that and actually winning at their own game. That's brilliant. But
It was fun.
so throughout your time in Twitch, have you ever, and I'm just asking this as a question, have you ever done follow for follow?
No,
absolutely not.
I have encouraged networking like a stream team sort of thing.
Yeah.
But never the follow for follow. Hey, you follow my Twitter, I'll follow your Twitter. You follow my Twitch, I'll follow your Twitch. Because that doesn't do anything. It's a waste of time and energy. Because those people don't really care about your content or what you do. It's not going to broaden your reach at all. It's just noise. And if anything, you end up padding your stats and looking worse off because it's like, why do you have 1,000 followers and you've got like half of a person watching right now? It's because like none of them are real.
Yeah, you want to have like an interactive chat too, because sometimes you see where it's just like a stream of like, hey, follow me, or like, and it's like, does anybody actually watch the gameplay, or are they just, it kind of creates like a very disingenuous and like disconnected experience, because a lot of people come onto Twitch to, engage and interact with the streamer too.
Right.
So with E3 that just happened, did you see anything in there that really caught your eye, something you're really excited about?
Probably future bathroom streams from Dr. Disrespect. I think that's a genre that needs to be explored more fully. Really, really novel, exciting. So many things. Flight Simulator, Microsoft Flight Sim 2020 looks really, really, really cool. I'm excited for that game. So that game has always been sort of for the hardcore enthusiasts.
Yep.
And you have like, even the satellite maps on the ground and like maybe like a little like 2D tree or something that's sitting there, but it's always been not very pretty. This new game is like the entire world, the entire planet Earth, like rendered with like full city recreations, and you can fly over the Sahara, and there are elephants and gazelle running around and frolicking in the fields while you're flying an airplane above it. That looks awesome. For a lot of the stuff that I do, I think that's going to be pretty relevant to my content. So I'm excited for that. Other than that, like Borderlands, it's going to be awesome.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You're not excited about Cyberpunk 2077? I am. Pumped about that game.
Yes. I can't. It's breathtaking. I can't say anything more than that.
Yeah, I'm gonna lie. I'm a hipster when I come about this. I was up all about Cyberpunk 2077 before Keanu Reeves came on, so I just want to throw that out there.
Keanu Reeves is like the
right.
Norris, I think. That's how I would describe it, because it seems
Kinda,
like
yeah.
He kind of
he's
is.
like everywhere now. He's in like all these movies. He's even in Toy Story 4. Like all
Wait, what?
yeah, there's a new toy that he like voices.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I was like, how, like he's got like this awesome.
Is it like a badass toy?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Has to be,
I don't know
right?
if you've seen it yet, but I've seen it, and it's actually like he's like supposed to be like Duke Kaboom. Like
Duke
Oh,
Kaboom.
yeah, like one of those.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, he's like a stunt motorcyclist guy who's like super studly and manly and stuff.
I love that. I love that he plays into his own memes now. He's just all about it.
I love how his like characters can be anything, but like nobody cares. Like they're like, oh yeah, he could be like this like badass character, but then like outside of the movie world, he's like this like super genuine, down to earth guy. You know, like everyone's like, oh man, he's so cool. Like that's what I'm saying. He's becoming Chuck Norris.
If you
Like,
ask
that's
him
sad
for a
too.
shirt, I'm sure he would give you the shirt off his back, literally. And then you'd be
Yeah.
like, no, Keanu, you didn't have to do that. But he'd say, here, I insist.
So the question I have for you guys is, what happened to him? Like his acting career dropped off for a little while, but now it's back in full swing, and now everyone wants him on everything. Like what
John
happened?
Wick.
It was
John Wick
it was
happened.
Sad Keanu. Do you remember that meme? Where it was like a picture of him just sitting on like the bench or whatever. He was sad for a bit, and then he like got over it, stole the paparazzi's camera, started riding motorcycles, and it seemed like he was just like bored with life, and he's like, you know what, let's do this acting thing again. And then everyone was just like, dude, we've been waiting for you all this time. I didn't even know I wanted you in my movies.
New Bill and Ted is going to be fantastic.
Oh yes.
I just want to see him now as the grown man, John Wick sort of badass going, dude, excellent.
Yeah, I like his voice is so different now too. Like I can't imagine like what he's going to like. You know what I mean? Like, because he was like the like dumb teenager like back in the day when he made
Yeah.
those movies. That was the
Yeah,
funny.
It's going to be a test of his acting ability, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's funny how I discovered that movie is that my younger brother got that movie for his birthday, like for I don't know, like whatever birthday year, and then he was just kind of like, this movie's weird, and he never watched it or anything. And then one day we were like, he was like digging all the crap out of his closet, and he found this movie. He's like, dude, you know what? I've never watched this movie. Do you want to watch this? And I was like, yeah. Like, so we had like this like family thing where we all sat down and watched this movie, like having no idea what the movie was supposed to be about. And we just like instantly loved it. And we're like, this is awesome. We looked up and there was like the Bill and Ted 2, and we're like, okay, we have to watch this one.
They're excellent.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
there's
I just
no
thought
other
it was
way
so
to say
funny
that. They're
like, that's like one of the few movies that I'm so glad that I walked into it like being like, this is going to be a really bad movie. I'd have no expectations whatsoever, and being blown away by how like hilarious it is.
Oh, yeah. You're like, that's Keanu Reeves? Wait, what?
Yeah, like that's what I didn't. For me, I didn't even realize that it was him. Like, I guess like I wasn't too familiar with like Keanu Reeves and actors back then. But like once I was like, wait, The Matrix and Bill and what? Like,
Oh my goodness. It's sad when you see some big actor, that someone that you grew to love, and like some kind of series or TV show, like I said Daniel Radcliffe, because we were talking about Harry Potter earlier. Who's the guy? Who the guy who plays Jesse Pinkman in Breaking Bad? Aaron Paul.
Aaron, yeah, it's Aaron
Yeah.
something, but yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember. And just people like that, and who played Michael Scott? What's his name? Jeez, oh man, I can't even remember it. See, from The Office. So
I'm the worst with names.
Yeah.
Like, as
yeah,
soon as you ask me
exactly.
for
So
name, I'm
obviously,
like,
so am I. I'm three of the two out of the three I couldn't even remember, but
Michael Scott, yes.
yeah, we'll just go with Michael Scott. But it stinks when they get locked into a character and then you see them somewhere else and they try to pursue their acting career further, and you just see them as that character. It's the worst.
Yeah.
Like I can't see like Steve Carell. That's his name.
Yeah.
Steve Carell. If I see him anything else, I just see Michael Scott, and it's the worst. Doesn't matter what it just sucks.
And you know, they feel that too. Like, because I know that many actors actively try to avoid exactly that situation. They're afraid they'll get pigeonholed like that.
you know what? That might be why Keanu Reeves like was kind of like dropped off, because maybe he was like, all right, I want like everyone to kind
Probably.
of forget about what I've done before. So when I come into movies again, you know, John Wick, he just comes in like, okay, he's like now the badass guy, you know, like
Yeah.
he's
But
It's
he
like
was
whatever
always
they
the
want to do.
badass guy, though.
Yeah, Point Break.
Yep.
He was pretty badass there.
At the Matrix, like he was always
Well, I mean,
he was
like,
always that
he was-
guy.
I don't know. I think it became more of a meme with John Wick because of like the storyline and like
Yeah.
it's kind of like he was Liam Neeson, except like, you know, like Liam Neeson with Taken, So like I think like now he's kind of replaced that. Well, like because it used to be like everyone would make the joke like whenever you do something to me, I'm gonna like I will find you. I have skills or whatever. And now it's like everybody's using like the John Wick like I think it's
the fight choreography that really sets John Wick apart though as a series. There was a great video I saw once that I'm also going to forget the name of that did comparison of like modern action scenes in movies versus how Jackie Chan used to film his action scenes. And like modern movies, they do lots and lots of cutting back and forth to try to make it look like there's some amazing action choreography going on when really there's not.
Watch it like you don't end up seeing anything. I've seen this video.
Right. Yeah, so Jackie Chan, you go and watch his stuff, and it's all like one like broad shot, and everything is planned out, and it's a full dance that they go through, and they really showcase the skill. Keanu sort of is bringing that back. He learned all this incredible choreography and fight training and everything through the Matrix series, and I think he's kept up with it since then too. And I think that's sort of one of his passions. So he's brought that hobby back with John Wick and is getting back into that sort of role. I think the caliber of those scenes where he's literally killing 3 people at once, and he'll grab somebody like mid murdering them, kill 3 other people, then finish killing this person. It's like he takes his time with it. It's really fun.
Right. I think like Jackie Chan said in that video that it was like there's a rhythm to like the fight sequence. Like it's not just kind of like this like fight scene's over and somebody's laying on the ground. Right. Like there's like actually like a rhythm. And it like has like that pacing and stuff too, where like they have this like moments where nothing happens, but you're like you watch like them kind of like what I mean, like there's not like any cuts or anything to kind of disguise the action.
I miss the good old days of Jackie Chan. I'm not even gonna lie. I used to watch his outtakes. I used to love them because he used to do his own stunts, and then he would like mess up somehow of doing some crazy stunt, and then he'd just be rubbing his shin or grabbing his arm and going rubbing it. Oh man,
his hand gets cut off. He's like, oh, owie. You're like, Jackie Chan.
Yeah, I mean, man, those days were golden. But you bring up a great point because like even I don't know if you've seen Game of Thrones. I'm not going to spoil anything. But some of the fight scenes that they had in there were just cutting back and forth. Or, obviously they used dark to their advantage at some parts. Like they were extremely dark at some points. Yeah. And
it's a lot easier to film a movie. It's less expensive when you don't pay your lighting bill. And you don't have to choreograph anything because nobody can see anything anyway. So.
That's my favorite part. They're like the best battle scene, the biggest battle scene you've seen yet. And then it's like dark and you can't see anything.
Yeah. Where was it? It happened over there. Didn't you see the lights?
I was sitting there. I'm like, who's dying there? Like, is that someone I know or someone I don't know? Like, I don't know. I couldn't figure it out for a while. And then I'm like, afterwards, I'm like,
oh wait, I guess he's not around anymore. Like, I don't know.
Believe it or not, I was like at the end of it, I was like counting people. I was like 1, 2, who's that? Is that okay? It's fine. It's fine. They're still alive. We're good. Stuff like that. But you brought up an awesome point. But getting back to streaming.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the main part, right? I guess. But you start playing Star Citizen. You really got a following. Did you find that same following followed you when you played other games?
No. That's something I still struggle with it. I have found ways to keep things better than if you go along with games that are along similar threads. So you say you're known for playing a certain RPG, you find other similar RPGs that maybe have a strong story content like that. Or I play space games. So I tried for a long time. When I was broadening my reach, I tried to just go into other space games and be a space genre streamer. And that helped carry more followers than if I was like, okay, we're just going to go do, DayZ right now. And it's completely different and it's not relevant to a lot of people's interests.
So you're kind of like the Daniel Radcliffe of Star Citizen. Like everyone knows you specifically for Star Citizen. So if you go and branch off and be like, dude, that's Daniel Radcliffe. He can't be doing that. He's Harry Potter.
I like it into sports. So, you watch, you may have like a favorite baseball commentator, right? And you're like, oh, I love it when this guy is commentating a baseball game and you love baseball.
Yeah.
If that guy goes and he starts doing basketball, he can't really get pissy because the people who like baseball aren't watching him. Yeah. That's sort of how streaming is. It's like if my audience is mostly based around this game, and most audiences are, it's very rare to find a true variety broadcaster that is successful and newer at it. Like a lot of the old variety guys are already established. There was a time for all that. most streamers these days are certain game or certain genre streamers.
True.
And if they change away from their greatest hits, it may not be relevant to whatever their audience wants to watch that day.
Right. I know that's
It's
kind of
well
how
put,
it was
actually.
with Fortnite. I know a lot of like Twitch streamers went into like that Fortnite phase where like everyone was like, I don't even care what my current audience is. People are getting more viewers on Fortnite, and then
Sure.
Then they kind of I've seen that what people find out later is that like, okay, well, once Fortnite kind of went away, they're like, oh well, I'll go back to my other game, and everybody's kind of like, well, you left me for Fortnite, like it. You have to come back to like, well, I didn't play Fortnite because I really liked the game. I just wanted to get the viewership and become the Ninja
Right.
2.0.
And I've seen people who have like 10, 20,000 viewers in a specialized game like that, or like a Royale. They'll switch to literally anything else and have like a couple thousand or less than 1,000, and they'll just be like, what the hell is happening? You can see the gear sort of melting down. I've been there several times. I understand the feel, but it's not unique to really anywhere. It's just audiences in general. If you change what you're doing, less people are going to, people just have different interests.
So do you just
So do you think-
take risk with that? Like, I know when you're trying to do different games and stuff like that, do you just think like, I'm trying to think like, what would I be thinking, if I was trying to change up my game and, become, try to dabble in variety streaming? Like, do you feel like you take risks? You're just like, you know what, let's see if I get anybody like this works out for a week, or do you try that out, or is it more calculated and you're kind of like, well, people have in my chat have recommended this game, like I'm just kind of curious how you would jump into variety streaming.
So, if it's like a one-off thing or whatever, that's something else, right? But if I'm going to go into a different game long term, then I have to know ahead of time that I'm going to be able to have some traction with it. And if there's not traction and it's a game that I like, then I need to cut it and go back to something else or try again. It's really all about where you can get found and get traffic that isn't going to be completely oversaturated. I would love to go do Cyberpunk on day one and stream that for a super long time. But I know that when I do that, because I don't normally carry the kind of viewership you need to be higher in the directory, I'm going to be buried behind like 30 other people who are doing it, who have normally higher viewerships or are normally known for variety. It's just how that goes. And so when you're that far down, at that point, there's almost nobody coming in. So you're losing people. It's net negative. And if you do that for a long period of time, that's okay. But you're going to take a hit when it comes to paying your bills at the end of the month. It's almost better to come back to those games that you're excited with after the initial big wave of people has gone down, and you feel confident that you can get into that, the first 5 or even the first 10 streaming slots. The higher you can sort of guarantee yourself or coordinate like with other people if they host you when you're going into a new game, then that works. Or what's really good that a lot of people don't do enough is start out the day with the game that they're known for and then transition. So you start your stream. So I might start with Star Citizen, for example, get all my Star Citizen people in there who get excited when they see that I'm going live with that. And they're still in the channel and maybe they're having a good time. And so they're more apt to stay and follow when I transition a couple hours later into Anthem or whatever else.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going to go play Anthem, but that's the idea.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. And by putting it that way, I mean, you're just getting your people that are following you having a great time. They're just to say, hey, I'm going to continue this party on a different game, and then just transfer it over, and maybe you might get them to stay. That's a very great way of looking at it, actually. I don't think we've ever had anyone say that yet, but that's a really good point.
There's a lot of people who just go into what they think, or they see other people around them being successful in a certain game, so they just go dive right in. They're like, okay, there's lots of people being really, really successful with Fortnite right now. I'm going to go be a Fortnite streamer with the 30,000 other people who are trying to be Fortnite streamers all at the same time. You just can't get found. You've got to choose smaller titles or titles that are older or just wherever you can.
Where there's at least a viewer base also. Like you got to make sure you're like finding that perfect balance where like people are watching this, but not enough people are playing it. Like find that golden game, I guess, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and that marker switches depending on how many viewers you normally carry. But for me, if I do variety, I'm probably only going to have like 100, 150 in my channel at any given time. So I would look for something that has maybe less than 500 viewers or maybe around there, because if I go into that directory and it's a whole bunch of people around the same viewership or slightly less viewership, and I can suddenly pop into first slot, then the game is now higher in the directory because I've now brought 100 extra people to it. But also, I'm going to be the first person, so if people come check it out, then they'll be coming to me almost guaranteed, because people just they always go to the first slot.
Seems like you have this down to a science, basically. But have you ever done anything embarrassing on live stream before?
That's a segue.
Yeah. Yes. You noticed that. Thank you for noticing my mailing.
Sure. I've done lots of embarrassing stuff on streams before. When I started streaming, I didn't have a full green screen setup. I made one myself out of like those science fair trifold cardboard things. I draped green cloth over it, and I put it on like a little poster stand right behind me. And several times it fell on top of my head, or like be doing like a VR stream, and suddenly all of my lights fall down in the studio because I'm way out of bounds and I'm knocking everything over. I'm punching my microphone. I've broken a microphone before by just punching it too many times by accident.
Sorry, can you elaborate on that? Like, why were you punching your mic?
VR, because VR boxing games. And I've got this thing on an arm, and so if it's not back enough and it's still sort of in a forward position, and I'm all the way back there, if I'm boxing somebody in VR, I'm probably going to edge up at some point and keep.
Are you Superman punching the mic or something? Just like running up and just giving it one good whack, a couple good whacks?
No, I mean, you move around in a
bobbing and weaving. Okay,
exactly. You get into it.
Well, he did say it was a couple punches. It wasn't just like a. I don't know if you're a one punch man. You just like.
Yeah, you just need, it's all it takes is one good punch, and then you're like, okay, all right, my fingers really hurt now, and that was loud for chat.
So what did you do in that situation when you broke your mic? Obviously, you can't really talk to chat.
I just plugged in a different mic.
Oh, yeah, tons of mics on the ready?
Felt real dumb. I have an accumulation of lots of gear that I've been through over the years. Just like upgrading or side grading or whatever it is. I like streaming equipment and peripherals and stuff like that.
So your mic sounds fantastic. If you don't mind me asking, what is your setup? What kind of mic do you use?
So this is a Shure SM7B, which is expensive, but it's a very, very good mic. And this is running directly into a Helicon Gaming Go XLR, which is a newer piece of equipment that came out last year. That is, no lie, it's this little box thing that sits right there has replaced 9 individual pieces of gear in my audio line. Like I used to have this mic going into a cloud lifter to raise the just to raise the gain, and then that would go into a big audio processing box that was massive. It was meant for like an audio processing rack, and it would go from there into a couple different voice effects things like an auto tuner and gender bender, and it went to a thing that did echoes and stuff, and then it would go into a different mixer, and then that mixer would split into a USB mixer, and it was also my headset. So it was just lots of stuff there. And I've gotten rid of it all. This is going to sound like a Go XLR ad, but that thing like replaced all of it.
It's called a Go XLR.
Go XLR, yeah. It's absolutely brilliant.
Man, really do you use 2 computers, one computer? Like
it's 2 computers, yeah.
So you stream on one, and then you hook up like OBS and everything else on a separate one.
Well, the game on one, and then streaming on the other, yeah.
Yeah.
So we just route everything in through a capture card, because the higher demand games, you need every bit of CPU you can get.
Absolutely,
especially for Star Citizen. Star Citizen is an extremely resource intensive game, so I wouldn't be able to stream at a high quality and also play at a high quality.
So what pushed you to like go to like buy new gear and stuff? Like I guess like were you, because like you said you kind of tried it out full time. Were you like sitting there like, well, I need to pay the bills, but I also want to upgrade? Like where did you find that balance?
Yeah, I'm just an enthusiast, and I like to min-max things. It's like all I like to do. So I love looking at other people's setups and what they're doing, and then seeing how I can do something better or build off of that. I'm just a quality geek. So like we're not using a normal webcam right now, using a Sony big camcorder thing that is held onto a like by a Gorilla Pod wrapped around a little spike at the end of the monitor. That routes into a capture card, so that lets me get really good. I'm set up for a different lighting thing right now, so it doesn't look fantastic right now, but that lets me get really, really high definition visuals, and that lets me get like 60 FPS on myself as well. So that when I'm streaming, not just the game 60 FPS, but I'm 60 FPS. Audio quality, I think, is even more important. I think audio quality is one of the single most important things you can have in streaming. So I did my full line of, okay, let's get a little blue microphone, then upgrade to a Blue Yeti, then we're going to upgrade to some Audio Technica stuff, and then keep going like that. If I see someone whose setup is better than mine in some way, I am like compelled to research what they are doing and figure out how I can do better. And it doesn't give me more viewers or anything. It's just something I like.
You feel better about yourself when streaming.
Yeah. There are streamers who are way, way bigger than me who are using like a $20 camera and a little shitty headphone mic. So it's really not about your equipment.
So what's the next big step for you? What do you want to invest in next?
I want a giant motion simulator chair that will swivel me around 360 degrees.
I know that
while I'm playing games with my joysticks.
No, those are you gotta have like the VR headset where you're like sitting in it and you can like do like space games or like racing games where it's like it like flips you all around as if you're like actually in the ship. I mean, I'm sure that will be like a whole nother room. You'd have like a
that'll be so cool. It'll be so awesome. I mean, I already have I have 2 joysticks side by side as well as floor pedals, and I usually wear a thing on the side of my head that tracks head movements. So I've got like the full cockpit set up. That's already. Awesome. But no, I don't really think I'm at a point right now that I don't really have any more upgrades to do to any of my equipment. It's all pretty good, which leaves me feeling weird. I have to get different hobbies.
Well, we've talked about a ton of things on this podcast. So the one question I have for you is, what kind of advice would you give to aspiring streamers?
Oh, so much. I used to. I've got a big video on YouTube that was a recording of a panel that I gave at PAX South a few years ago. That was like a streaming 101 sort of thing. And I was like, okay, if you're just starting out in streaming, this is your 1-year business plan going forward. And I still really, really like that. I had a whole thing called Stream Academy where I was teaching marketing skills essentially to streamers, because a lot of people don't think about it in those terms. Just make sure you're having fun is the biggest thing. Don't set out to get lots of viewers. Don't set out to get lots of followers or subscribers, because that will either happen or it won't. There's things you can do to improve
your chances
once you're getting there. You can improve your chances a little bit. But so many people set out thinking, okay, I'm going to go be a career streamer, and you can buy all the equipment you want. You can stream 1 million hours a day. This is the hardest thing, and this is why Follow for Follow is so popular, I think, is because you can do absolutely everything correctly and still have no growth, because part of it is personality and presentation, and a degree of luck as well. If you're super persistent, more eyes will get to you. So if you're doing everything 100% right, and even thinking about your game strategically, if you're not engaging from a showmanship perspective, it's not going to go anywhere. So a lot of people spend like more money on their equipment or their microphones or their computers and stuff because they think that maybe that's the key. Like maybe their quality is just not good enough. But no, it's you just have to be smart. So if you are going to start streaming, or you're starting streaming and you're frustrated, just think about why you're doing it. And if it shows itself to you that it is a viable option as a business, as an income source, because that starts happening. People start giving you money. That's the time that you can start thinking about it as a business. If you start thinking about it ahead of time like that, then you're just going to make yourself miserable.
Gotcha. And I think we'll also link your YouTube video in our description of the podcast so people can watch.
Sure,
that
I'll find it. I'll find it and give it to you.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. This is really fun and really useful and insightful.
Thank you. Yeah, the John Wick segment was definitely the best. It's on there. No, this was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
And thank you for listening to this episode of the Rad Gaming Podcast. You can check out our guests by clicking the link in the description.
Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and rate and subscribe to us on iTunes or wherever else you listen to podcasts.
We release a new episode every Wednesday and Friday. And as always, stay rad, comrades.